Hey, what's up, homies? It's your man's the Grumpy Geek here to talk Star Wars with all you nerd gods and geeky goddesses out there. And today, I wanted to present to you the truth about Supreme Leader Snoke's true identity and his true origins. So you guys are in for a treat today. But jumping right in, based on everything that we know from all 7 movies, the animated shows, the novels, and the comic books, it has become abundantly clear to me that Snoke is in fact, wait for it, just Snoke. In my opinion, I think everyone has gotten so caught up in overanalyzing the Star Wars lore and trying to find a connection between Snoke and Darth Plagueis that nobody has really stopped to think about the fact that it is entirely possible and entirely plausible that Supreme Leader Snoke is indeed 100% an original villain created specifically for this new trilogy of the franchise, and that Plagueis has absolutely nothing to do with the situation at all. Like, I don't understand the need to try to find a secret identity for Snoke. When I sit back and I try to figure out why this is such a phenomenon right now when it comes to the Force Awakens movie, I just think it comes down to the fact that people forget that now that the Plagueis book is no longer considered canon, it's considered part of the Legends universe. Plagueis is, for all intents and purposes, he's a very minor character in the Star Wars universe as far as the canon is concerned. And it seems highly unlikely that the powers that be over at Disney will want to find a way to bring back such a minor character who really, as of now, has had no real impact on the new canon outside of possibly, and I say that with an asterisk beside it, possibly being responsible for Anakin's creation. But I mean, I get it. It would be cool, I guess, to use Snoke as a way to tie in and connect this franchise with the prequels. But I feel like doing so creates more questions than answers, and it just complicates and convolutes the universe unnecessarily. Not only do you have to explain how Plagueis survived Palpatine's betrayal, you'd have to explain how he managed to survive so long undetected, why he took on the Snoke persona in the first place. Then you have to explain why he remained inactive until the fall of the Empire. Then we need to take time to sort through the whole connection between Plagueis and Anakin and explain how it ties into Kylo's destiny. I mean, the list is just endless. In my mind, I guess I just don't understand why so many fans, especially like the hardcore fans, are so dead set on believing that Plagueis is Snoke. And I mean, I guess I get it. There's plenty of anecdotal evidence to make the claim, but anyone who is well versed in constructing valid arguments knows that anecdotal evidence is simply not enough to settle a debate, especially when there is observational evidence that directly contradicts that anecdotal evidence. What I mean by observational evidence is, I mean, when you step back and look at the bigger picture and observe what's actually happening as opposed to what you want to just believe is happening. If you just look at the fact that prior to the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens, Disney made it clear to the public through several press releases and production interviews that their sequel trilogy was going to be more about distancing itself from the prequels and reinforcing its ties with the original trilogy. This to me says loud and clear that they really have no intentions of bringing Plagueis back into the fold, since he is attached to a trilogy of movies that basically left fans of the franchise divided still to this day. The fact of the matter is, despite the anecdotal evidence that a lot of fanboys seem to think is valid, there are several facts that support the idea that Snoke is an entirely new character. For one, J.J. Abrams has denied it publicly. For two, the co-writer Lawrence Kasdan seems to not even recognize the name Darth Plagueis when he was asked about it in several interviews, and he didn't try to dance around it or try to cover up. He just simply didn't know who it was. And the actor Andy Serkis says that it's a new character in this universe. I mean, he came right out and said it. And yes, I know, before anyone tries to come back at me, yes, I'm aware that we can't always take, these guys at their word, considering that if Snoke was indeed going to turn out to be Plagueis, they wouldn't want to spoil the reveal beforehand by telling some reporter like, oh yeah, Snoke is Plagueis. So, I mean, it would just defeat the purpose. It's counterintuitive. But when you put all that together with the fact that at one point Abrams and his crew previously explored the idea of Snoke being a female character. And I mean, they explored it to the point that they actually built a full-size model of the concept. You will start to see a pretty clear picture that Snoke was never intended to be Plagueis, from the initial concept designs all the way through production, all the way to the conclusion. But let's take a step back and say for a minute that Snoke is actually Darth Plagueis. My question is, why hide him behind the identity of Snoke? Why not just come out and say it's Darth Plagueis? What purpose would that have in the context of the story? Why would they need to hide the fact that Darth Plagueis is Darth Plagueis and hide him behind Snoke? What kind of significance would it really be, considering that most of the fans that are in the theater are not Star Wars fanboy fanatics and have zero idea who Plagueis is in the first place, or what he contributed to the old canon, which is now known as Legends. So lots of people wouldn't even register Darth Plagueis as being anything important in the first place. So it just seems kind of a useless, futile attempt to try and do something that would seem more like fanboy service than it would be actual good storytelling. But the question I have for you now is, why do we even need to know Snoke's origins or his true identity? Why is it even a question that we're worried about at this point? If you think back to the original trilogy, the Emperor was never given a backstory in the original Star Wars trilogy either, and no one questioned it at all. The prequels and the other stories from the old canon filled in the story later on. So why is it all of a sudden a big deal now? Isn't it enough to just have Snoke be Snoke and that's it? So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Why don't you go ahead and let me know what your thoughts are on the subject down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to follow me on any of the social media platforms, the links for that are down in the description down below. I'll see you guys next time, but until then, may the force be with you, my fellow geeks. Much love, peace out, I'm gone.
Holla!